All right, guys, here is a watch that actually kind of took me by surprise. A watch that I didn't even know the brand existed. This is Ollech and Wajs. This one is the P-104S. And I have to say big thanks to Russell Jewelers in Vancouver. There's their information. I'll put a link in the description down below. So if you are, well, obviously if you're in Canada, hit them up. But even if you're in the United States, hit them up. I think maybe even worldwide. But yeah, don't be afraid to buy from the Canadian authorized dealer because your dollar might actually do better in that scenario, but get a hold of them and try it out. The price tag on this thing is $1,315 according to their website, $1,315. So it's definitely over that $1,000 threshold that a lot of people like to stay under, but this definitely packs a lot for that price point. Let's get into the case size first, and then we'll talk more about what the guts are. So 39.3, 39.5 millimeters is what the case is supposed to be. I measured just the angle that I caught. It was at 39.3. So it's 39.5 mil. Lug to lug, 49.5. You can see nice thin mid-case profile design, fully brushed. And then, of course, you have drilled lug holes there. So the bracelet is amazing, but if you want to put a strap change on this watch, then you can do that easily with those drilled lugs. It's only 12.7 millimeter thick, and it has sapphire crystal with a slight box. I mean, it's a very slight box, and then it's flat. I believe there's AR coating on the underside. I could be wrong, but I believe that is the case here. 20 millimeter lug width there, so whatever your heart desires. Slight taper on the bracelet down to 18. And then you have a stainless steel, obviously, clasp system here, but it's kind of basic, we'll say, 3 micro adjust, double pushers, and signed, of course. So although the clasp is basic, the bracelet is far from that. And I want to touch on the bracelet real quick, and then we'll get back to the watch, because the bracelet is actually milled. If we zoom in, it's milled from chunks of stainless steel. It's not like, I don't know how else you'd make a bracelet, but there's something different about this bracelet. Out of all the bracelets I've handled, the I don't know, the quality of it just seems superior to pretty much all the other bracelets that I've handled in this price point for sure. That's why it's a little weird that they went with a basic clasp system, but whatever. We'll move on. We'll move past that. So this one here is more of an aviation themed watch, obviously, and you have a slide rule. So you have a slide rule here that you can move around and do formulas and all that good stuff. I have no idea how to use it. Maybe some people do, but it's just a friction fit spinny thing, and you can do equations and formulas and stuff with it. Maybe you know how to do it, maybe you don't. I don't know. 300 meter water resist screw down crown, 7 millimeter oversized crown, plenty of traction there, and it is also signed. So very robust feeling, actually. Nice pop to it, and then each position is very defined, and there's very little wiggle to that, if any at all. Actually, let's move the middle hand out of the way so you can see the model there, because the model name is the P-104. So ETA 2824 in this watch. So Swiss movement ETA 2824, beating at 4 hertz, runs perfect. There's no problem there. They're claiming 90% Swiss made. I don't know what all the rules are, but when they're saying it is 90% Swiss made, excluding the packaging and the bracelet. So I don't know where the bracelet's made, but the bracelet is amazing. But the rest of the watch is 90% Swiss made. So that's pretty cool. That's a good thing to know. That also probably increases the price if that matters to you. If not, then maybe there's a different brand out there that is similar, but I have not handled a watch that looks quite like this. I'm really digging the pop of orange on this. There's a diver with green. I was watching some videos from some other YouTubers, and there's a really cool looking diver. Higher price point on that one. I think this one's more affordable and much more approachable, and it's a very similar watch. So peculiar in that aspect. I don't know why the diver is more money, but date at the 6 o'clock, and it is also framed. If you look closely there, you can see it's framed, and then sandwiched kind of below that is that orange ring, which is also Lume. So all that orange is actually Lume, as well as some of that white, I believe, when we do the Lume shot. The handset, all squared off, rectangular, whatever you want to call it, heavily brushed, catches the light, super legible. You don't have the pointing of, it's a little easier to tell what hour you're at, but the minute, without a point and it's squared off like that, it's a little tricky, but I can tell the time, no problem on it. I actually really like this handset. I actually thought the black part of the minute hand was skeletonized, but I rotated it around and it is blacked out. It is not skeletonized. So it is a solid hand and they're black, and then it has the orange Lume plots also put in there. The seconds hand is nice attention to detail as well. It does taper as it reaches out to that large oversized triangle that is also filled with Lume, and then there's a little syringe pointer at the end of it reaching all the way out to the very perimeter of that dial. Very cool, very fun. No problems there with legibility if you want to track some fine seconds of the watch. The metal bezel here is coated. I'm not sure if it's PVD or DLC. I couldn't really find that information, but maybe it is in the description and I just missed it. But with the way that everything else is constructed, I wouldn't be surprised if it's DLC. But it's also very common for those to be PVD, so I don't even want to speculate on that, really. But excellent fitment on that. You can see there's very tight tolerances. Now, you can get this for a little bit lower price point with the fabric strap or a leather, but guys, seriously, get the bracelet. The bracelet is killer. There's a look at the case back. Still have the sticker on there. I was even hesitant to even sizing this thing up. The screws have a lot of thread lock on them, and it even says on the website, I don't know if Russell's website says it, but on the Ollech and Wajs website, it says make sure to have a competent watchmaker size it, because you have to get the exact size screwdriver and you have to have a decent amount of pressure on there. Otherwise, you can mess up the screws. They're in there very good. So it's very precise. Let's pop this on wrist so you can see what it looks like on my 7 1/4. Because like you, I was thinking, I don't know, 39.5, maybe a little bit too small. But the weight of this thing and the size, the way it lays out, it just works. I think the longer lug to lug really helps me with it. But man, it's got a nice heft to it, and it just wears and looks great on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. I could definitely see owning one of these. I know I say that about a lot of watches. And occasionally I put my money where my mouth is. So hopefully you're paying attention which ones I do. It is a struggle. I know a lot of you guys struggle with that as well. But this thing is legit. And it's something I really enjoy about this one is if you're ever in a community of other watch lovers, you're probably not going to see an Ollech and Wajs on the wrist of another watch fan out there. So you're going to stand apart in that, where you might see a bunch of people with Tudor Pellies or even Submariners or whatever, pick whatever watch, right? That are the common marquee ones. This one's, deep track. And I dig that about that. The brand is from 1956, has a long history, and then it got picked up later and resurged, rebirthed, if you will, in like 2016 with fresh new capital and resurgence to the brand. So it's fun to see them grow. Hopefully they continue on that path, excuse me. So let's kill the lights and check the Lume on this thing. I babbled long enough, but I actually really do like this watch, so it's kind of fun. So imagine that. The Lume is, it's hard to tell. It looks kind of greenish, but it's, to the naked eye, it's almost orange. I have to be honest with you guys, the Lume is not, to the naked eye, is not very bright. So not amazing Lume, I will say that, but still a very cool watch. I think once my eyes adjust, it's weird because the camera is actually picking up a little bit of green, but it looks more orange. Very similar to the orange Lume that I've handled on the Zodiac. So maybe a similar formula. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. A big thanks to Russell Jewelers up in Vancouver. Give them a shout. Tell them I sent you. I'll see you on the next vid.